they're doing they're not doing this right. I think they're being kind of casual about this. They don't seem to care about God's glory. They don't seem to fear the fact that the glory of God, the fire of God, can come out of the tabernacle and consume them. They're just kind of playing at it. And we see in the end of verse 3, and Aaron held his peace. Their own father. He was like, I got nothing to say. What my sons did was wrong. And so it seems that they had a wrong attitude. Now we go down a little further, down in verse 9. So after all this, God gives some more instructions to Aaron and the future priests. And here's what it says, verse 8, and the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. Now, a couple things might be going on here. One, well, we have to ask, why did God give this command at this time? I kind of think maybe Nadab and Abihu had been drinking. And that's why they were taking this all so casually. And that's why God gives this command at this point. That's speculation because it doesn't say specifically that they were drinking. But if they had been, this would make sense. Let's say that they weren't drinking. Here's what God is saying. At the very least, God is saying, Aaron, make sure you don't drink, because if you do, you might be careless like your two sons were, because the drinking will make you careless. And so in any event, the idea is that there needs to be a solemnity. There needs to be a right kind of attitude, an attitude of the fear of the Lord as you're going into this. Now you go down a little bit further in verse 16, and there's this other account at the end of this, which is interesting. So after all this happens with Nadab and Abihu, it says, and Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. Now, that wouldn't mean a whole lot to you, unless you were here yesterday and heard James's little thing about the different types of offerings. One of the offerings was a burnt offering. The whole thing with a burnt offering is supposed to be burned on the altar. That's why God's glory came and consumed the whole thing. And the picture of that is of somebody being fully consecrated to God, giving everything. We sing the song, is you're all on the altar. Right? It's that idea. You're giving everything to God. A sin offering is different, though. With a sin offering, you're not supposed to consume the whole thing on the altar. Part of that went to the priests. The priests were supposed to cut off certain portions of the meat, and they were to eat that themselves. And so Moses, when he sees the goat of the sin offering, he sees it's all burnt. And Moses is like, oh my goodness, can't we get any of this right? And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive. So after Nadab and Abihu die, he has Aaron's other two sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, and they're going to take their place now. And Moses is angry with them because he says in verse 17, wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy? And God hath given it to you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. This is why didn't you eat it like you're supposed to? Why are you treating the sin offering like a burnt offering? And I think maybe Moses is expecting fire to come out from the tabernacle and consume them too. Well, verse 19, Aaron has a response. And Aaron said unto Moses, behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? Here's what Aaron is saying. I just lost my two sons. For me to eat the sin offering right now, my heart would not be in it. My attitude would not be right. And so we're refraining from doing that because of that. Verse 20, when Moses heard that, he was content. Oh, okay. That's why the fire didn't come out of the tabernacle and consume you. Because your heart was in the right place. You were in the right attitude. You're taking this seriously. And it wasn't carelessness why they didn't eat part of the sin offering. It was carefulness was the reason why they didn't. They were taking it very seriously. And so that all makes me think that Nadab and Abihu went into it with a very careless attitude. But let's get to the real heart of the issue. What's the real problem, the main problem why they were killed? And this comes back to verse 2, because verse 2 tells us. Verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire, there it is, before the Lord, which he commanded them not. So the really big problem, the problem that is named specifically here, is they offered strange fire. The fire was wrong. It was all wrong. So what was so strange about it, or foreign, or it's different from what it's supposed to be, is the idea of the strange fire. And what is it that was so wrong about that? Well, when we consider this, if it's really coming down to the fire that was used, we see that God took this whole idea of burning incense very seriously. And a couple of reasons why he took this so seriously and why this for them offering strange fire, why he killed them for it. And first is because God, with the whole incense, with the sacrifices, all the stuff they did in the tabernacle, he wanted to make sure that it was very different from pagan idolatry. Pagan religions burnt incense too. Pagan religions in that day did sacrifices too. God wanted to make sure that his were distinct from all the rest. So let me show you in Exodus chapter 20, when he's talking about the incense, it says in Exodus 30, verse 7, and Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning. When he dresseth the lamps, he shall burn incense upon it, upon the altar of incense. And when Aaron lighteth the lamps at even, he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations. So every morning, every evening, they would go into the tabernacle, they would burn more incense in there. This became, the morning and the evening, became the time of prayer in Israel. In fact, but even when you get to the New Testament, in the life of Jesus, it talks about the morning and the evening, that Zacharias went into the temple at the time of prayer. That's when they would burn the incense, because the incense was supposed to be symbolic of prayer going up to God and intercession for people. And he says in verse 9, ye shall offer no strange incense thereon. Don't offer any strange incense. We see that word strange again. It's not fire here, but it's strange incense. There was a special formula for the type of incense they were supposed to use. Don't use anything else. So to offer strange incense would be to use the wrong type of stuff for the incense to burn. He says, nor burnt sacrifice. So the altar of incense was not a place for sacrifice. Sacrifice was to be done at the altar of burnt offering outside. You don't go into the tabernacle on the altar of incense and offer up a lamb there. So it says don't do that. Nor meat offering. It also wasn't the place where you would bring, there were different other types of like food offerings that weren't animal sacrifice. You're not supposed to bring those in there either. Neither shall ye pour drink offering thereon. And don't take your drink and pour it out on there as a drink offering. This is only for incense. And so God had these specific rules for it. And I think probably that's because maybe doing some of those things on this altar that was made for incense might have resembled pagan idolatry too much. That might be the reason why there were all these specific rules. But to get more to the heart of it, and this is why God took the burning of the incense so seriously, and the type of fire even that was used. Because he wanted everything to have a sacrificial symbolism to it. The type of fire was very important to God. So the fire that was supposed to be used for burning the incense was supposed to be taken from the